Everyone says Picciott with the LibertyAdvisor, and of course we've got Yoshi back in action. I know it's been a while since we had Yoshi in one of these videos. It's just, I live in Arizona, so it's, we had the most days above 115, most days above 100, highest temperature for the month ever. That was in August, so it'd be average 99 degrees, and it's not really conducive to making videos. And actually the GoPro I'm using now and even my phone would shut off in that extreme heat. And we got some cool 18-year-old in his 1980 Beamer behind me that's making a bunch of noise. But yeah, so it is the day after selection day or election day, and I've got to take a victory lap here. And you've got to take a victory lap, the people who are watching this and listening to this, because unfortunately I don't have a very big audience outside of what we're doing with Josh and what I did with Luke and getting on some guest spots. I mean, maybe between the podcast and different listeners on my channel, maybe we're at like 1,000 people who end up watching this. But if you guys go back to September 16th 2016, I actually did predict that Trump was going to win and that they were going to blame it on the Russians. So I mean, I don't really know anybody that had that back-to-back. There's people, of course you got the the MAGA people that in 2016 who thought he was going to win by a landslide because they're just delusional. But I was telling people that hey, I thought that Trump had a very good shot at winning, and that when he did win, that they would blame it on the Russians. And my grandfather, who I respect almost more than anybody, told me that I was delusional and that I was crazy and that I'm a smart guy, and why am I saying this? Because I'm discrediting myself and I couldn't possibly be thinking that. And when Trump won, it was a big victory, but it was a big victory over Hillary. It wasn't necessarily a big victory for freedom. And the main thing I wanted him to do was to stop propping up these phony stock market bubbles, to get the economy back on a real healthy path, not this BS propped up Federal Reserve type path. Which actually leads me to an article. Of course, you got street sweepers going by me. I never see street sweepers, but it leads me to an article I saw today from Barron's that actually said no matter who wins the election, Jerome Powell wins the election. And that's true, because Donald Trump committed a huge sin in picking Jerome Powell as a Fed chair. But anyways, that's a whole nother subject, whole nother debate. But as early as March of 2017, I started raising red flags saying that, listen guys, don't rest on your laurels here, because you are forgetting some of the people like myself who helped bring you to the dance. And oh yeah, by the way, there's something called fraction magic that they can use to help rig the elections. There's all the other retail voter fraud that you guys, I'm sure, are aware of. But fraction magic is something where they can take a portion of your vote and give that portion of your vote have part of it go one place, have part of it go somewhere else, and then you can end up in a spot where you have 9,873.678 votes. Well, how do you get a 0.678 of a vote? I mean, it's ridiculous what they're doing, and that's usually shows some sort of error on their part. But what they're doing is when they take an image of a ballot, that image of the ballot in many states becomes the ballot. So the actual ballot isn't the ballot, it's the image of the ballot. And then these machines, magically, they erase the images of the ballot, even though the image of the ballot is the ballot. And they constantly fuck with things. And this is something that, I talked about Bev Harris on Ernest Hancock's show in September of 2016. I did try getting her on. Didn't try very hard, but, it was unsuccessful. We'll try to get her on later on. But Dr. Shiva Ayugadari witnessed this going on in his past election just a couple months ago when he was running as a Republican in the primary. They definitely jacked with him over there. That's a whole nother topic. But we could have secured things 4 years ago through having the vote on a blockchain, and I don't even like legitimizing this whole selection process anyways. But my thesis that I gave at Anarchapulco, which was mainly an investment talk, and at the very end, now I will say I did get it wrong. I thought it was going to be Pete Buttigieg, again, because he's a CIA asset, a Rhodes Scholar, which if you guys don't know what a Rhodes Scholar is, I don't mean do you know what a Rhodes Scholar is? I mean, what I mean is, do you know the history behind the Rhodes Scholarship and Cecil Rhodes and the Council on Foreign Relations and who these guys really are? And because, that's a whole nother topic. But, I was wrong, and the power system was, panicking, and they all had to coalesce behind Sleepy Joe Biden. So, I got that part wrong. But my analysis was, well, all these general public opinion polls and all these, general election polls, they all mean nothing. The only thing that matters is a few counties in a few states, and in 2016 they didn't think they had to rig, anything outside of the usual, media, digital Berlin Wall that was going up, which was, now is like a million times worse, because we've been kicked off World Alternative Media's YouTube. If you guys are watching this on Picciott, please also subscribe to my channel. It's the Liberty Advisor. You can go to the LibertyAdvisorShow.com to see links to Float and to Picciott and to Library/Odyssey, even DLive, although I think that's sort of dying out. But make sure you got backup channels, backup ways to keep in contact with us, because this is only getting worse. The censorship is only increasing, and I'm astounded at how many even supposed Republicans don't even know this stuff is going on. So getting back to my thesis, doing this all without notes, so that's why I apologize if there's some rambling going on here. Actually, we got a Roadrunner over here, so we got Yoshi checking out the Roadrunner. So let's. Oh. There we go. So yeah, sorry, just I'm a 3-year-old, so I had to go play with the Roadrunner. Got some nice shade over here. But what was I just talking about? I was talking about why I thought they had to rig this election, and in 2016, if you could get let's say a felony for rigging an election, or stuffing ballots, or using fraction magic, or changing the votes, or finding all these mail-in ballots, or stuffing the ballot box, or having dead people vote, or all the usual ways they do this sort of stuff, or busing, voting early and vote often, that sort of stuff. If they felt like they didn't need to do that in 2016 because they had it in the bag. The other thing I mentioned is that you fit all these, kids. If you're some kid who's 17 years old, or I guess not 17, I guess you'd be 18 years old, smoking weed in your mom's basement in Wisconsin or Michigan or wherever, maybe you might not be that incentivized to go vote because you were already told that Hillary had a 98% chance of winning. Basically it's like the odds of it snowing out here right now. On a very hot day, it's not going to happen. So I bet you had a lot of people who thought they didn't need to go out to vote because Hillary had it in the bag, and the media told them that Hillary had it in the bag. And guess what? There was a landslide, and Trump threw out all odds. Won basically, 6 coin flips in a row on several states, and got very lucky, and a lot of stars aligned. And then all these people that never predicted Trump was going to win in the first place were now super emboldened to be like, MAGA, 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 and, this is a new day for America, and, look what we've done, and this was just, a huge referendum, and yeah, it was, a big deal that he won, but it wasn't in a landslide. And then you got all these people, even like Alex Jones a couple days ago was out saying, this is going to be a landslide, this is going to be a referendum, this is going to be a mandate on getting rid of the left. And then you see a lot of people in the Q circles who are saying the same bullshit. And I lost a lot of followers, lost a lot of fans. I got shadow banned immediately after the election on Facebook. And our Union of the Unwanted show the other day, I think I had 3 people watching. And that was, that's including, 30,000 on my page. You had all these other pages that got shared too, well over 100,000 people in the aggregate. And yet 3 people watched concurrently at most. I mean, give me a break. I mean, obviously, this is, complete fake news. And maybe there was only 3 because they just blocked everybody from being able to see it. But you think that right before an election, when you've got all these, huge guys like, Sam Tripoli, and obviously G. Edward Griffin, and Dan Dix, and Jason Burmis, and, the host of this was Ricky for putting this on, so thank him, and John Snyson, and Josh Segerson, and just, a huge cast of people. And I'm forgetting the people I'm leaving out right now because there's like Zach Voorhees, the Google whistleblower, all these people on one stream, and yet I only pulled down 3 people watching at one time on Facebook. I mean, it's just a joke. I mean, obviously that's not a real number, but this is the state of affairs of what we're in. And so maybe I've got more than 1,000 people watching me or listening to me on the podcast and all these platforms, But, you know, that's what they want to do. They want to get us, you know, down and out. They want to make sure that we're not able to communicate with each other. And unfortunately, it's getting worse. So that's why, you know, you got to do things like, you know, check out the podcast, you know, text LibertyAdvisor, one word, no spaces, to 71441, where you get a free copy of my book and on an emergency text list, which I think I've only sent out a couple messages ever on that list. So you're definitely not being spammed on there. But, you know, it's just more important than ever to do these things. But when it comes to Trump, I mean, going back to March 2017, I was, you know, absolutely waving the flag saying, you guys need to be, you know, watching out for these sort of things, and don't just rest in your laurels. And, you know, and he needs, you know, the libertarian type vote and the independents to go after him. Don't, you know, quit, you know, circle jerking all the people that are already going to go vote for him. Quit listening to Fox News. And I was saying stuff that wasn't popular. I lost a lot of support. But guess what? I mean, everyone that's listening to Q, I mean, Yoshi sees a rabbit over there, so he's going nuts. Right, Yoshi? Oh, now you calm down a little bit. You guys were all led astray, and you get all these people that just discovered the deep state in 2017 and just discovered it in 2018, and now they think that they're fucking experts on all this stuff when they had no idea what was going on. And then they, you know, are reading the Q drops and they're getting all excited and trust the plan. I mean, my fucking initials are TTP, trust the plan. I had a fake news list that went viral before anybody else on Facebook, and the one person I listed by name was Paul Krugman, who ended up winning Trump's award for most fake news. And I was on video saying that the Russians were gonna get blamed for the election back before I even had a YouTube channel, when I only had like 3 or 4 videos I'd ever even posted. So, you know, it's not like I had 1,000 videos and you just, you know, cherry pick 1 or 2. I only had like 3 or 4, and that was one of them. So it's just so frustrating seeing all this stuff out in advance, so far ahead of time, saying I thought, you know, Trump was gonna lose, and everyone that made fun of me back in 2016, all the same motherfuckers making fun of me, you know, up until basically now, saying, oh, this is gonna be a mandate, and Trump's gonna win in a landslide, and you're crazy. Well, you guys all said I was crazy then, you know, probably saying I'm crazy now. Obviously not you guys, because you guys are listening to me and definitely appreciate that. But, you know, who else out there said Trump is going to win, they're going to blame it on the Russians, and oh yeah, by the way, by the time March of 2017 rolled around, was on video saying that he was going to lose, to take the Democratic field over it. And you can go back to the Anarchapulco speech where I was saying I would take the Democratic field over him, and because if they can rig an election, they are, and they will. And so they didn't think they had to in 2016. And so, you know, the game plan, you know, they've already been telegraphing this for a long time, is that, you know, that they were not going to give up the election, they being the Democrats, they were not going to concede under any circumstance. And then lo and behold, you know, they stopped counting the votes, and, you know, in all these, you know, key places, they decide, oh, look at this, you know, we got an extra 300,000 votes, and, you know, all of them were for Sleepy Joe Biden. Just imagine that. Or we're in Arizona now, and I actually heard reports of this from some personal contacts who were giving out Sharpies and in different Republican precincts, so that way they would have those ballots thrown out. And the only prediction so far that I've had wrong, you know, in regards to this election, I mean, I called Mark Kelly winning in a landslide. You know, but I did think that Arizona was slightly going to stay Trump, and that the rest of that the Senate would go blue, because we have a never Trump rhino complete turncoat, you know, see you next Tuesday in there as our current senator, and Martha McSally, and I bet that there was a lot of people that were going to vote for Trump that wouldn't vote for McSally, you know, and the same thing with Ducey. So I hope you guys are, you know, the Republican Party of Arizona are listening to this now. I mean, if you guys are dumb enough to run Ducey, you know, that's just your own fault. But you probably are dumb enough, because you're dumb enough to run Martha McSally, who couldn't even beat an LGBTQI, bisexual, lesbian, Green Party, purple hair in Kyrsten Sinema, which also I predicted on Ernest Hancock's show the day Sheriff Joe entered the race, which was actually, for those of you that live in Arizona or know anything about Arizona politics, that was a crazier prediction than when I predicted Trump was going to win. A crazier prediction. So, you know, so far I'm wrong on the Trump would win Arizona slightly. But I definitely thought it was going to be a lot closer than anybody would have given me credit for. I mean, there was like 96-mile long trains around the 101, which is the highway that basically creates a big, rectangle around Phoenix, or square around Phoenix, probably rectangle around Phoenix. There's over a 90-mile-long train of cars and, big diesel trucks. I mean, nothing against diesel trucks. I want to go get one myself, actually. But, with Trump flags, and you're driving around and seeing, hundreds of people on the street corner, even by my house, with, Trump signs and unfortunately Blue Lives Matter signs too. And, basically nothing for Biden-Harris. But I was telling people, listen, like, you guys are all, circle jerking your own base. I mean, you're not doing anything to reach out to other people. And, I wouldn't rest on your laurels, and it's going to be a lot closer. But I did think Trump was going to be able to squeak it out here. So, but I'm definitely, my analysis is definitely a lot closer than everybody else here. All the Republican people here thought Trump had it in the bag. They weren't even concerned, weren't worried at all. And so, I definitely appreciate it. But please, help share this message. And, I'm not going to be right all the time, but my God, I mean, who else predicted Trump was going to win in 2016, that they blame it on the Russians, and then as early as 2017 said that, I would seriously, start taking the Democratic field, and then only started doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down, even on video saying that I think if Trump had 2 terms, that he would end up exploding the debt even more than Obama, which was like, pants on fire, let's go laugh at Tim type statement. And he almost did it in 1 term at the rate that we're going. And people are like, oh, well, they pulled out this whole pandemic. Yeah, because they had to, and they're going to do whatever they need to do to get him out of there. And when will you guys fucking learn that? And not talking to you guys, but just talking with the general public out there, that if they can do this, they are going to do it. So at all costs, they need to stop Trump, because they know that in a 2nd term that, he might be more unhinged to go after all the pedophiles and go after all these other people. But, I'm not waiting for anybody to save me. He should have went after and did all this stuff, the first 2 years he was in office, when the Republicans controlled everything, except most Republicans are basically the Democratic Party light. And so, it's just frustrating. But anyways, make sure you check us out on these other channels. I'm going to get this uploaded immediately, so there's going to be no real editing to this. And we're running into another roadrunner. We got Yoshi on the prowl over here. But anyways, you want to say bye to the people, Yoshi? Oh, there he is. But anyways, no, thank you for hanging, and I'll talk to you guys later. And none of this anger is directed at you guys. When I say you guys, I meant more of the general public. But love you guys. Make sure to check out the LibertyAdvisor show.com as well. It's brand new. We're getting a lot of new changes on there. It's going to keep getting better and better, but for right now, you can find and also all the Tim and John shows now are all on Picciott now. We have our own playlist. Thank you, Zach, for that. And we're gonna be getting all the Tim and Yoshi shows up there too. Everything right now is on Odyssey, but /library, but Picciott will be right behind. And then obviously on YouTube as well. My LibertyAdvisor channel is still up there. So if you guys are watching this as part of Josh's World Alternative Media, please check me out on any of those places, and talk to you guys later. Take care.